Hey there folks, my name is Frizz and welcome back to another Pathfinder 2nd Edition Archetype review. Today we're going to be going over the Soulforger, a really flexible, uncommon archetype from the Secrets of Magic book that released recently. The Soulforger has a lot of different mechanics that work together outside of the feats of the archetype itself, and we're going to be going over all of them in just a little bit. But first, let's just talk about what a Soulforger actually is. The core concept that unifies the Soulforger is creating weapons and armor and shields due to the nature of your soul. This concept can be used for all different types of characters, from magical girls to He-Man to Shardblades from the Stormlight archives. All Soulforgers have a soul path that they follow, which is a goal or cause that resonates with your character's very being. As long as you follow this soul path, you can use your abilities to their fullest. However, if you deviate, then your soul can become corrupted, which twists your soul armament slightly out of your control. I'm going to be going over every part of the Soulforger, and you can navigate to what you want to learn about using the timestamps in the descriptions or the chapters on the video. Before we talk about any of the other parts of the Soulforger, we first have to go over the rules behind Soulforge Armaments themselves. As stated previously, they're manifestations of a character's soul, given the shape of either a weapon, a shield, or a set of armor. Whenever someone gains this archetype, they get their armament. Or they can turn an item that they already had into their own armament if, say, you have a family heirloom sword that you would rather use. This item then gets special characteristics due to it literally being a part of your soul. It could become twisted and otherworldly, or it could just sparkle and usual out in the sunlight. It all depends on your character and what you think a manifestation of their soul would look like. An evil character might be a bit more demented, but a paladin might be a bit more shining and radiant. Your armament will always be magical and is stored in an extra-dimensional space when you don't have it manifested. But those are just the rules for how you get a soulbound armament or a definition of what it is, but you can change them as someone's soul is mutable. It's very normal in Pathfinder 2e for weapons to get runes, or armor to get runes, as they level up, and the same is true for Soulforgers. Etching runes functions exactly the same as normal weapons, you just have to manifest your armament for the entire time that the rune gets etched. Also, given a day of downtime and meditation, armaments can be reshaped into different forms. You can, say, change a greatsword into a longbow, and you can't increase it in level as generally that comes with a pretty significant power increase, so if you want to do that, you'll generally have to pay gold for it. Anyways, those were just the basic rules on how armaments work, so we should probably get to the archetype itself. If you do end up taking it, I do recommend reading through all of the rules on armaments carefully by yourself, because there are things that I didn't go over. But anyway, the dedication for the Soulforger is pretty simple, given that we've already gone over all of what an armament is. You gain one armament that is either of the weapon, shield, or armor variety, and this armament gets an essence. You also get the ability to manifest it as a single action. Once per day, you can manifest the essence form of your armament, getting additional benefits. I won't be going over how armaments work as we just went over them, but I also won't be going over essences until the end of the video. Check in the description or on the chapters to jump directly to essences. The next feat the Soulforger gets access to is the level 6 feat Soul Flare, which is a really great reaction that can be used for both offense and defense. It's pretty simple. If you attack with your armament and miss, you can spend your action to retroactively add a +1 status bonus. If you're defending with your armament and get hit, you can add a +1 status bonus to your AC retroactively against that attack. This can obviously change the results of the attack, and if it does make a difference, you have to make a DC 5 flat check or demanifest your armament. If you know what your enemy's AC is, this is a great way to just get a hit when it otherwise would miss. Do be cautious though, as especially losing your armament in the middle of a fight is incredibly dangerous, especially if you're in heavy armor and your unarmored AC is really bad. It'll only take an action to get back, but waiting for that action can be nerve-wracking. Rapid Manifestation at level 6 is about as simple as a Soulforger feat can get. As a free action, whenever you roll initiative or whenever a hazard is going to be attacking you, you can manifest your armaments. This is effectively just super good quick draw, especially for armaments, as if you roll poorly on initiative and you don't have your armament manifested, that's an area where you're vulnerable. But this allows you to get it immediately. Getting caught without your armament out can be very dangerous, and if you take Rapid Manifestation, you will never be caught without your armament. Soul Arsenal is another level 6 feat, which allows you to get a whole nother armament. You can't double dip by taking another weapon if you already have a weapon armament, or a different type of armor if you have an armor armament, but if you have a weapon armament, you can now get an armor armament, and you get a different essence. Keep in mind that if your soul is corrupted, you take the corruption flaw from both of your armaments at the same time. At level 12, you can take this feat a second time to get the third and final type of armament at your disposal. You will never be without your full set of gear again. Now, this all seems wonderful, but not everything in life is free. Upon getting this archetype, you have to choose a soul path. This soul path is a mission or philosophy that is central to your character's personality or story that you want to tell with them. For an example, if Robin Hood was a Soulforger, his soul path might have been along the lines of steal from the rich and give to the poor. A cast-out noble might be trying to get back his throne, or a veteran might be trying to prevent a new war from starting between neighboring kingdoms. Based on your soul path, certain actions become anathema to you, and your very soul can become corrupted as you perform those actions. When you're suffering from Soulforge corruption, you take a penalty based on the essence of your armament or armaments that you have. Thankfully, this corruption can be fixed using a ritual that every Soulforger learns, but it takes time and money, so be careful. This corruption has a couple of different stages and functions similarly to a curse. At stage 1, you suffer from the corruption flaw of your armament's essence at all times, and you also have a chance of not being able to summon the essence form of your armament. Stage 2 is worse, as you are completely unable to summon the essence form of your armament, and you still suffer the flaw at all times. At level 3, you completely destroy your armament, and even after you purify yourself with the ritual, you still have to buy the armament from scratch, so you just lost a ton of gold if it was heavily upgraded. Now, let's get on to talking about essence powers. I've been avoiding talking about them for the rest of this, but the rest of the video is dedicated to talking about them. If you're a GM who's watching this, don't be afraid to homebrew these if what your player has in mind for their character doesn't match any of the essence powers particularly well. Just don't be afraid to make the flaw completely crippling, as they were asking for it when they picked this archetype. Adaptable Persona is an essence that can only be applied to armor armaments. When in its essence form, the wearer gets a climb or swim speed equal to their land speed, and at 8th level you can also choose a fly speed. This is really great for maneuverability, and you can pick whichever speed is best for the exact situation that you're in. The penalty can be really unfortunate, however, as you take a minus 10-foot status penalty to all of your speeds. I hope you weren't planning on going anywhere fast. Bounding Spirit is a really hilarious essence. It can only be applied to melee weapons, but it does give the thrown weapon trait with a range of 30 feet and the returning rune, even if it already has the max number of property runes. What makes this so funny to me is that this can be used on any melee weapon, even something like, say, a greatsword. The corruption flaw is equally hilarious, if tragic. Whenever you miss with a thrown or ranged weapon, you are required to reroll the strike, targeting the nearest ally to the original target of your strike. Deep-Seated Fear is a simple essence. When you have summoned it in its essence form, you get a +2 status bonus on intimidation checks, and you can demoralize creatures who don't share language with you without a penalty. Also, you can demoralize someone whenever you manifest the armament. This is really great, as the demoralize action is a fantastic way to spend an action if you don't want to attack with a low MAP. The corruption flaw is also so flavorful, and I love it, as whenever you demoralize an enemy, your demoralize also targets an ally. Determined Toughness is a great way to shake off the effects of pretty much every negative condition in the game, including clumsy, drained, enfeebled, frightened, sickened, and stupefied. You treat the penalties that all of these conditions apply as one lower, but it doesn't actually reduce the condition's value. If your campaign has a lot of undead, or wizards who like casting debuff spells, you can get a lot of mileage out of this. The flaw is also pretty simple. Whenever you take a penalty from one of those conditions, you increase it by 1. Harmful Malice is a rather interesting essence. All of your strikes, when manifested in the essence form, deal 1d4 additional negative damage, and you can cast Harm once per day, heightened fully. The flaw is also interesting as it reduces any damage that you deal by half your level. Healing Grace is the flip side of the Harmful Malice essence. You gain fast healing equal to half your level, and you can cast one fully heightened heal per manifestation. One well-placed heal can easily change how a fight plays out, so the power of this essence is fairly self-evident. The flaw is also simple, as it reduces the amount you heal and are healed by spells by half your level. Heroic Heart is about as simple as an essence can get, gaining +1 status bonus to attack rolls, perception checks, skill checks, and saves, which are about everything that you're actually going to be rolling on during combat. The flaw is also simple, being a -1 penalty to attack rolls. Magical Resilience can be applied only to an armor or shield armament. While it is manifested in its essence form, you gain a +2 status bonus to saving throws and AC against spells. If you're at least 5th level, you gain a Dispel Magic that you can cast once per essence form manifestation. It's 1 level lower than the highest level spell that your party will have access to, but it is pretty useful for getting rid of magical effects that are really inconvenient. The flaw is also simple, you just take a penalty to saving throws and AC against spells. Planar Bond can also only be applied to an armor or shield armament. Upon manifesting it, you choose a damage type from Acid, Chaotic, Cold, Electricity, Evil, Fire, Good, Lawful, Negative, Positive, or Sonic damage. You can resistance equal to your level +2 against that damage type. The flaw is simple, if very scary, as you gain a weakness of 1 to all damage types. Planar Pain can only be applied to weapon armaments and functions as an offensive version of the Planar Bond essence. You choose a damage type from Acid, Chaotic, Cold, Electricity, Evil, Fire, Good, Lawful, Negative, Positive, or Sonic damage, and your weapon now deals that damage instead of its normal physical damage type. Additionally, you get a +2 status bonus on those damage rolls. The flaw is that whenever you strike, you take 2 damage of the type you last manifested from Planar Pain. The Pull of Stasis essence can only be applied to a weapon, and it's fairly simple. Whenever you hit a target, that target takes a -10 foot penalty to all of its speeds for a round, and if you critically hit it, they are immobilized for a round. The immobilized is really solid, as that is a great way to restrict an enemy's actions, which is generally a very effective way of limiting the power of a single enemy. The flaw, though, is pretty potent, as it is a -10 foot penalty to all of your speeds. Afflicting Spirit can only be applied to armor and shield armaments. You get a +2 status bonus to AC against physical ranged attacks, and you can spend a reaction to make a ranged strike against creatures that miss you with physical ranged attacks by hitting them with their own projectile. This is especially useful in campaigns where you know that you will be fighting a lot of different enemies that use physical ranged attacks. You can't use this for spells, unfortunately, but I mean, how many times have you fought someone with a bow? It's fairly frequent. The flaw does give you a weakness 5 to physical range attacks though, so be careful about this. Resolute Defense is an essence that can only be tied to shields. The shield in question gains a +2 status bonus to its hardness and gains temporary HP equal to your level +2 until the essence form ends. Also, whenever the shield is manifested, you gain access to the shield block reaction if you don't have it already. The flaw does make your shield a lot less effective though, as whenever you take damage when raising your shield or using shield block, you have to succeed at a DC 5 flat check, or dismiss your shield if it's your armament, or drop it if it's a normal shield. This can be really risky, as if you're using a shield for your defense, you're probably in a situation where you really want your shield, so having to make that flat check can be very dangerous. But getting access to shield block without having to take a feat for it, and increasing the HP and hardness of your shield is a great boon for defense. Anyway, I think that I've talked about the Soulforger enough for now. It's a really fun archetype that I really want to play someday. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I feel like it can be used for so many different types of characters that I really want to play it. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I've put a lot more work into this than my previous videos, and I hope to keep up this level of quality going forward. If you've got any advice or requests, hit me up down below in the comments. And let me know if you have any ideas for characters you want to play with the Soulforger archetype. If you've liked what I've been doing, just hit the subscribe button, maybe hit the like button, I don't know. Do what you want. I'm not your boss. Anyway, I hope that you live a wonderful life.